Coinbase versus Gemini versus Kraken versus Uphold versus Bittrex. I just want to talk about some of the fiat gateways that I've had experience with and just kind of tell you what's happened, I guess, with some of these registration processes and everything. Some of it's unnerving and some of it, you know, you have limitations. So let's talk about that. So with Coinbase, I've had an account since 2013. Registration process a little bit difficult. Asked me a bunch of questions that kind of had nothing to do with me, what streets that I lived on, and then none of them would be even like somewhere where I lived. It was kind of strange, but that was back in 2013. I don't know that people are having that issue anymore. So I've been approved for a long time. For the most part, haven't had issues with Coinbase. Let's move on to Gemini. I never got an account there, mainly because they don't offer enough coins. So there was no real point in my mind to get an account there. Kraken, I've had an account for a while, but I didn't register to a higher level and ever connect my bank account. So I more recently did that, and I actually had a really kind of weird experience with it because they asked like for so much stuff, like utility bills, all this kind of stuff, you know, copies of like your ID front and back, which is unnerving in itself. And then they wanted you to take a selfie actually holding up a piece of paper that said, this is just for trading cryptocurrencies on the Kraken.com exchange. And they wanted to have you holding your ID, that handwritten note with the date and your signature. So it's like, dude, this is awkward. You know, I just think that kind of situation is actually going to get worse on these exchanges as well. Now, with Bittrex, they had me do a similar type thing like a year ago, like taking a selfie, and they had my crypto trapped on there, about like $400 or $500 worth of crypto that I'd tried to send over from Steam. And that was annoying. And to tell you the truth, I was pretty upset because they basically just, you know, kind of were holding the crypto hostage, and I never linked a bank account there. Now I more recently looked into it, and the whole thing was like you go through additional process, and then I think that you could only do wire transfers in. And I just, the way it was set up, I was just like, you know what, I'm not gonna deal with Bittrex. So I was like, oh, let's see what's up with Uphold. Now Uphold, the issue with it, there's no like kind of order book to where it's like a regular exchange. It's more like getting on the regular Coinbase where it's going to charge you like 1%, and for some coins it's actually higher. So I was kind of looking at the spot prices and stuff, and for some reason the spot prices for Bitcoin seemed to be quite a bit higher, but Litecoin was more in check. So I got an account there, and I registered to a certain extent where it was like I showed ID and all this stuff, and then I have a limit of like $500 a day. And then I'm like, well, okay, that's not too bad. And then I was kind of like looking at it, it's like, well, I can still do Litecoin purchases there, and it'll let me do ACH transfers and not have to go through wire transfers. Kraken will only do wire transfers. That's the only way in, it seems like, to get fiat into your Kraken account. Now obviously Coinbase can do the wire transfers, or they can do the ACH transfers. So I would say that's one advantage Coinbase has that over Kraken, is that you don't have to just only use wire transfer. So you got a couple other routes in. Now with Uphold, again, I think wire and ACH, but there's going to be that higher fee on there. And then I don't know, it's kind of an interesting setup on there. If you've looked at it, you can have like different cards where you can actually buy precious metals on there as well. And they say that it's a full reserve, full 100%. It's not a fractional reserve situation. So that's kind of interesting. Like if you want to buy some silver, platinum, or palladium, or like gold, you can do that. And you can also buy other fiat currencies, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, US dollar, and tons of other fiats. So you can kind of move around within these cards. Kind of an interesting setup. A little bit unique there. And then, you know, for the most part, Coinbase is what I've typically used to get fiat in and out. Now, I think it's good to have multiple entries and exits though, just because in the next boom, you know, last time around the exchanges were all having issues, and then they had to shut down you know, certain markets at certain times. And I know Kraken shut down for a few days, and Coinbase was having issues, and they were trying to upgrade their servers as fast as possible because, you know, the crypto rush was so strong that their equipment was just to the max. So I think it's good to, you know, at this given time to have multiple entries and exits. But those were just some of my experiences. What kind of stuff have you guys went through as far as approval? And one of the reasons I didn't mention Bitfinex, I never had a Bitfinex account, and they don't accept US customers anymore. So the US customers are going to deal with that a lot. Our laws are actually the most stringent as far as money transmitter laws, money services businesses, all that kind of stuff. And that's part of the reason we're having to take all these selfies and stuff. And actually it's really invasive, but these people running the exchanges, I think they're kind of caught in a hard place. They don't want to have to do that. Probably they feel like it's probably invasive, but they don't want to get nailed. They don't want to be somehow responsible and kind of get pinned down. So they're doing everything they can. So it's kind of a tough business to be in. But anyway, what's been your guys' experience? What's your favorite exchange? Follow me on all social media at Brian Phobos, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Steam it. See you guys later.